Hello students and friends. Welcome to Homeopathy Medicines. Today in this homeopathic Materia Medica lesson, I will discuss about homeopathic medicine Alumina silicata. Before starting this video, please subscribe to this channel for Learn Homeopathy Online Free and Homeopathy Materia Medica. We need support from you to make this channel more beautiful and more informative. Now going to discuss about Alumina silicata, its uses and symptoms. Deep-acting remedy for chronic complaints of brain, spine and nerves. Constriction is a marked general symptom, also constriction of orifices. Venous distension. Weakness, especially spinal. Aching and burning in spine. Formication, numbness, pain in all limbs. Epileptiform convulsion. Coldness during pains. Head, congestion of brain. Constriction of scalp. Pain in head, better heat, perspires. Pain in eyes, flickering. Frequent coryzas. Swelling and ulceration of nose. Respiratory, catarrh of chest, pain, raw feeling. Feeling of great weakness in chest. Stitching pains. Spasmodic cough with purulent viscid expectoration. Extremities, heaviness, jerking, numbness, aching and pains. Skin, formication along course of nerves, veins feel full and distended. Sore to touch and pressure. Modalities, worse, cold air, after eating, standing. Better, warmth, fasting, resting in bed. This valuable remedy is made from a species of rock known as Andalusite and composed of aluminium 63 and silica 37 parts. It was prepared by trituration in the usual way. It has been proved and used clinically by the author for many years. It is a deep and long-acting remedy and cures chronic complaints of the brain, spinal cord, bowels and the nerves, that have heretofore been most stubborn. Its complaints are sometimes noticed in the forenoon, but mostly in the afternoon and evening. Some symptoms come on in the night, even after midnight. There is a desire for open air which is grateful, but cold air aggravates all complaints, much worse after becoming cold and a marked tendency to take cold. There is great coldness during pains and all pains are better from warmth and warm applications. The prover loses flesh, and it has cured patients markedly emaciated and anemic. There is great weakness and many symptoms are worse going upstairs. Congestion of brain and cord and spinal nerves, with marked burning and stinging. It has cured multiple neuritis and locomotor ataxia. Constriction is a marked general symptom, also constriction of orifices, a sensation as if constricted. It has been of great service in epileptic and epileptiform convulsion, not when the convulsion is on but as a constitutional remedy causing the attacks to diminish and come less frequently, and finally disappear. Stiffness and tonic contractions occur with provas. Distension of all the veins, and fainting spells. The symptoms are worse after eating and he is better fasting or eating very small quantities of food, worse from cold drinks, cold food, milk and very warm foods. Formication of the skin, extremities along the course of nerves and in internal parts. A sensation of fullness throughout the body, with distended veins. Heaviness of the body and all the limbs. Enduration of parts inflamed. Inflammation of the nerves, with burning, stinging, crawling and numbness. The brain, spine and abdominal viscera are extremely sensitive to a jar, as in riding in a carriage over rough roads. Jerking and twitching in muscles. The lassitude is so great that she was compelled to keep to the bed. She must lie down, a marked sense of spinal weakness. It cured a woman who had lain in bed many years from weakness. Straining of muscles from lifting, like stocks. Yet some symptoms are worse lying in bed, but lying generally helps and rests the patient. She says, I am so comfortable while lying. Some symptoms and worse lying on the back. She desires perfect rest, aversion to all motion and worse from all motion. The mucus secretions are increased. It has cured lupus. Numbness of single parts and of painful parts, numbness with neuritis. There is orgasm of blood, flushes of heat, even great rushes of heat to head from body. The pains are worse from excitement and motion and better from external warmth and perfect rest. The pains are of all kinds: boring, burning and stinging, constricting, cutting, digging, gnawing, jerking, paralyzing, pinching, pressing. The whole body is sore to touch and pressure, stitching, tearing, ulcerative pain wandering from place to place. The pains as well as many other symptoms show a marked periodicity. Pressure sometimes increases and sometimes helps the pains. Pulsation all over the body and in the head and abdomen. The pulse is fast, evening and night. The patient is better resting in bed and worse rising up from bed or chair. Sensitive externally and internally. Complaints all worse standing. Extreme heat of summer takes her strength. There is swelling in affected parts and of glands. Throughout the body and limbs a feeling of tension. The limbs tremble and she trembles all over. Twitching all over. Complaints felt on waking. Walking is almost impossible. Walking fast or any exertion brings out all symptoms. Weakness from walking. Wet weather increases the symptoms. Close, warm room causes many symptoms. It is very useful in nervous debility where there is great mental excitement and aggravations from anger and vexation. Absent-minded. Anxiety, evening, night, anxiety of conscience, anxiety about her health, worse after sleep. One prover felt that she would become insane and urged to have the 30th, which she had taken, antidoted. Wants this and that and never satisfied, she criticizes everybody. She desires to be alone, but becomes worse when alone and better in company. She has much difficulty in concentrating the mind. Confusion of mind every morning, worse on waking. Worse from contradiction. Contrary and whimsical. Several provers were timid and cowardly. She thinks she is growing smaller and that she will fall if she rises to her feet. She sees visions, there is despair, she is discontented, discouraged and distracted, long periods of dullness of mind after sleep. There is marked exaltation of fancy. The mind is in a constant state of fear, wakes up with fear and frightened easily. There is a marked mental weakness, forgetful, indifferent, irresolution, deficiency of ideas, so that it is easy to see the resemblance to imbecility or the borderland of insanity. She laughs much as in hysteria and many mental symptoms are hysterical in character. She is morose and obstinate and the memory is weak. Changeable moods. She makes mistakes in speaking and writing and uses wrong words. There is remorse, religious affections of the mind and great mental weakness bordering on insanity. It is useful in brain fag after prolonged mental exertion. The mind is anxious and restless at night. There is great sadness. One prover said she was never so unhappy in her life, but she felt better after telling it to somebody. Great dullness of the senses. She is very sensitive to noise. She sits a long while without appearing to notice what goes on. She walks in sleep. Starting on facing asleep. She thinks much about suicide, loathes life and desires to die. She sits long, indisposed to talk, she talks in sleep, weeping in sleep. Willpower very weak. Aversion to mental as well as physical work. Vertigo morning and evening, while sitting, stooping, walking, turning the head suddenly, ameliorated while lying. Vertigo while closing the eyes, tendency to fall forward. On turning there is a tendency to fall in the direction turned, vertigo as if intoxicated, with nausea. Rush of blood to the head, with boiling sensation and coldness of the occiput. Constriction of the scalp, especially of the forehead. The head feels empty. Heat and heaviness of the head in the evening, especially of the forehead. Much itching and formication of the scalp. There is much pain in the head, morning, afternoon, evening and night. The headaches are worse from bending the head forward, binding up the hair, after eating, when biting the teeth together, before and during menses, while sitting, after sleep, after stimulants, stepping heavily, stooping. The headaches are better from binding up the head, from cold applications, cold air, lying, moving head, pressure standing, and walking. There are intermittent pains day and night. Periodical headaches. Noise causes the headache to become pulsating. She wants the body wrapped up, but wants head in cold air. Sensation of crawling, as though ants in the brain. This sensation travels down the body and leaves at the toes. Pain in the forehead, over eyes afternoon and evening. Pain in occiput, temples, vertex and sides of head, worse on the right side. The pains in the head are burning, bursting, cutting, drawing, pressing, shooting, sore as if bruised, stitching and tearing. There is a dull pain in occiput, vertex and temples, worse from pressure and mental work. Pressing in forehead, pressing outward over eyes. Pressing in temples, vertex and occiput. The head is so sore during pain she cannot comb or brush the hair. Stitching pain in forehead, sides of head and temples. Many of the headaches were so severe that she was stunned by the pain. Violent, tearing pains in the evening, tearing in forehead in evening, tearing in frontal eminence, tearing pain in temples and vertex. Wandering pains in the head, better during rest and while sitting. Pulsating headache worse from noise, pulsating in forehead and vertex. The brain seems to be sensitive to a noise. When something drops on the floor it seems to drop on her sore head. The eyelids are stuck together during the night, and in the morning discharge thick mucus, dark rings around the eyes feel enlarged with dryness, catarrhal inflammation in the open air, with itching. Pain in the eyes, burning in the evening as from smoke, burning in lids and in the canthae, pressing pain in the eyes, soreness and pain as from sand in the eyes, stitching in the eyes. Photophobia. Redness of the eyes, styes and swollen lids. The vision is dim, worse at night by artificial light, and exertion of vision. The vision is foggy, weak. Hypermetropia. Purulent discharge from the ears, with itching in the auditory canal. The ears are hot. Noises in the ears, humming, fluttering, ringing, roaring and whizzing. Pain deep in the ear, boring, stitching and tearing pains in the ear. Stopped sensation with pulsation. Hearing at first acute, later impaired. The air feels cold in the nose on breathing. Catarrh of the nasal cavity and posterior nares. The discharge is bloody, containing crusts, excoriating, greenish, hard lumps, offensive, purulent, thick, sometimes watery, yellow, or yellowish-green. Coryza with cough, dry, alternating with fluent, violent coryza, much dryness in the nasal cavity. Epistaxis on blowing the nose feels full, itching in the nose. The nose is obstructed with thick mucus and crusts. Burning and tearing in the nose, much soreness in nose, root of nose and septum sore to touch. Dull pain in nose on breathing transmitted upward to middle of vertex. Smell first acute, then diminished, later lost. Frequent sneezing, with and without coryza. Ulceration in the nose. The nose is greatly swollen. Pain in the face, pain in mellobones, with pain in temple, pain from temples to mellobones and worse in open air and when chewing. Drawing, stitching and tearing pains in the face. The face is purple. Aphths covering the mucous membranes of the whole mouth, the gums bleed and the tongue is coated white. Dryness of the mouth, when a chill or lacerating pain in head comes on the lips stick together. Mucus collects in the mouth, and the odor from the mouth is offensive, pain in gums and teeth from cold air, on biting, and after eating. Sore gums, palate and tongue, stitching and tearing pains in the teeth, salivation, swollen gums. The taste is bloody, metallic, sour, or wanting. Food is tasteless. Ulceration of gums. Teeth very sensitive. Pain from roots of upper teeth to head, when biting teeth together. Mild form of inflammation in the throat and tonsils. Hawks up much mucus, dryness of the throat on waking, sensation of a lump in the throat, tough, tenacious mucus in the throat, pain in the throat on swallowing, burning, rawness and soreness in the throat. splinter sensation in the throat, stitching pain on swallowing, swallowing is slow and difficult, ulceration of the throat and the tonsils are swollen. Swollen cervical glands. The appetite is increased, later ravenous, but the first mouthful causes nausea. The appetite is strong, but food is not properly relished, appetite for things not obtainable. Aversion to food, to meat, to coffee, thinks she cannot digest food, an empty feeling, which is not helped by eating. Irritations bitter, empty, sour, of food, after eating tasting like spoiled meat, water brush, irritations give relief. Fullness after eating, often only a mouthful. Weight in the stomach after eating, hiccup, heartburn and loathing of food. Nausea morning, evening and night, after eating, during headache. The sight and thought of food causes nausea. Pain in stomach, evening and night, aggravated by eating. Burning extending upwards, cramping, pressing, gnawing, cutting, stitching, pressing pain after eating, better by irritations. Soreness on pressure. Retchings. Sinking sensation. Sensation of a stone in the stomach. Water tastes as if spoiled. Some thirst, but no thirst during fever. Vomiting or co-oofing after eating and during headache, vomiting of bile, black blood, of food, mucus and water. Obstructed flatulence in the abdomen, fullness, distension, hardness, heaviness, constriction, distension worse after eating. Pain in abdomen, worse after eating, before menses, during menses, worse walking and better by warm applications. Pain in region of the liver, burning in the abdomen. Cramping, colicky pains begin in the stomach and pass down into bowels, with urging to stool. Cramping all over abdomen, and then must run and pass a watery, fetid, yellow stool. Cutting and pressing, stitching pains in left hypochondrium and in the liver, tearing pains in abdomen. Rumbling and tensions. Constipation, very difficult stool, unsatisfactory, scanty stool, much straining, even soft stool is difficult. Constriction of the anus during stool. Diarrhea driving out of bed at 5 a.m., first undigested, then watery, clear, with much flatus, from fruit. Passes much flatus with stool, flatus offensive without stool. Crawling at the anus. Hemorrhage from external biles. Inactivity of the rectum, itching of the anus, worse by scratching, moisture around the anus, pain in anus during stool, burning during stool. Cutting, pressing, soreness and stitching. Tenesmus of the rectum, paralysis of the rectum. Ineffectual urging to stool. The stool is bloody, copious, dark, dry, hard, knotty, large, offensive, scanty, soft, thin, watery, undigested. Paralytic weakness of the bladder. Retention of urine. Tenesmus while passing urine. Ineffectual urging to urinate. Frequent urging to pass urine, worse at night. Urination in feeble stream, frequent during the night, must wait long for urine to flow. Unsatisfactory feeling in the bladder after urination, involuntary urination. Emission of prostatic fluid during stool. The gland is enlarged, sore and painful, prostate gland inflamed. Discharge of mucus and pus from the urethra, burning when passing urine, cutting during the flow of urine. Urine copious, later scanty, burning, cloudy and red. Red sediment, specific gravity normal, no sugar, no albumin. Troublesome erections of the male during the night, which are very strong and painful. The testes are swollen and hard, the glans penis is red and excoriated, the scrotum itches and perspires. Frequent seminal emissions, sexual excitement is strong during the evening and night. The woman has tormenting itching and crawling, worse after urination, worse after scratching, better by cold applications. Leucorrhea acrid, bloody, copious, purulent, thin, white or yellow, worse before and after menses. Menses in one prover too frequent, in several provers, too late, intermittent, offensive, painful, scanty. Suppressed menses has been cured. Burning pain in the genitals, prolapsus of the uterus, ulceration of the labia, irritation of the larynx, mucus in larynx and trachea. It cures catarrh of larynx and trachea. Rawness and soreness in larynx. Must scrape mucus from the larynx very often. Constant tickling in the larynx and trachea. Husky, rough voice. Hoarseness, worse in the morning. The breathing is arrested by coughing, wheezing, asthmatic breathing, rattling breathing. Difficult breathing from coughing. Cough in the daytime, morning, evening and night. Asthmatic cough. Dry cough morning and night. Dry cough with expectoration only in the morning. The cough is worse in cold air. Dry, hacking cough in the evening. Much irritation in larynx and trachea from hard coughing. Loud cough in the morning with fever. Lying on the right side causes coughing spells. Racking, paroxysmal cough from tickling in the larynx. Violent coughing spells. Expectoration daytime, morning, evening and night, acrid, bloody, copious, offensive, viscid, white or yellow. Orgasm of blood or a feeling of congestion in the chest. Constriction of the chest, oppression, heat and blood spitting, inflammation of bronchial tubes, pain in chest during the night, during cough, in the sides of chest. Burning in chest. Crushing pain in chest, rawness in chest when coughing, sore, bruised chest walls from coughing. Stitching pain in chest from coughing and inspiring. Weakness felt in the chest and palpitation of the heart. On exposure to cold air the back is cold as if cold water were poured on it. Many eruptions on the back. Itching of the cervical and dorsal regions, pain in the back on motion, rising from a seat, stooping or walking. Lying perfectly quiet the pain is relieved, but turning or trying to help herself out of a chair causes pain in back near the spine. Pain in cervical region, in dorsal region between the scapulas, in the sacrum, in the coccyx and in the whole spine, aching in the spine, but especially lumbar region and sacrum. Great burning in the spine, burning pain in the cervical region and between the scapulas. Pricking like needles in the lumbar region on exertion, better during rest. Sore and bruised feeling in the spine, especially the lumbar region, sticking like needles in the lumbar region. Stitching pains in the back, in the cervical region, in the scapulae and between the scapulas. Tearing pain in the back. Stiffness of the back and of the cervical region, extreme weakness of the back compelling her to remain in bed. Awkwardness of the limbs, more in the lower limbs. A blue painful spot on the hand where she had a wart removed many years ago. The nails became brittle, the hands are constantly chapped, coldness of hands, legs and feet, hands cold as ice and fingers blue. Cramps in the calf. Emaciation of all the limbs, numerous eruptions on the limbs, notably boils and red rash. Formication is extreme. The hands are very hot. Heaviness of upper limbs, of lower limbs, hands and feet. Violent itching without eruption, upper limbs, hands and fingers, lower limbs, thighs and soles. Painful itching in arms along the course of nerves. Jerking in all the limbs. Numbness of all the limbs, upper limbs in forenoon. Numbness of hands and fingers, numbness of lower limbs, legs, feet and heel. Numbness of first two toes of right foot while lying on the back. Pain in the limbs from excitement, worse from motion, worse during the night. Pain in the joints, pain in upper limbs, shoulders, elbow, forearm, hand and fingers, pain along the course of nerves. Pain in lower limbs from motion and excitement, pain in thighs, legs and feet, pain along the course of nerves. Pain travels from below upwards, worse on left side, pain goes to cardiac region and then to left temple. Aching pain in legs. Burning pain in limbs, burning pain in arms from excitement, burning in the soles. Crushing pain in the bones of legs, and in the muscles. Drawing pain in upper arm and in forearm, drawing pain in thighs, knees and ankles, pricking pain, thinks a knitting needle is thrust deep into muscle of right hip. Sore, bruised limbs, lower limbs, legs, tibia, soles, stitching pains in upper limbs, shoulder, upper arm, elbow and wrist, stitching pains in hip, knee, calf, sole, toes, tearing in upper limbs, shoulder, upper arm, elbow, forearm, hands and fingers, tearing pain lower limbs, hip, thighs, knees, legs, calf, ankles, feet, tearing pains along the course of nerves, wandering pains of all kinds in the limbs, painless paralysis of lower limbs, also pain in the paralyzed parts, tension in the upper limbs and in the arms when lifting anything, tension in the calf and feet, swelling of the fingers, stiffness in the lower limbs, tingling prickling in all the limbs, upper limbs, hands and fingers, lower limbs and feet, trembling all over, in limbs, hands and knees, twitching of limbs, in shoulder, lower limbs, legs, feet, ulceration about the nails, weakness in the limbs, upper limbs, lower limbs, thighs, legs. He is unable to step up when ascending stairs. It seems to him that he cannot lift his body to the next step. Sleep is disturbed by visions, dreams anxious, confused, amorous, of death, nightmare, pleasant, of quarreling, vexatious. Sleep is restless and broken. Sleepiness in the morning, forenoon and evening, and after dinner. Sleepless before midnight, unrefreshing sleep, waking too early, frequent waking. Yawning. Chilliness in the forenoon, noon, afternoon, evening, chilliness in the evening in bed, chilliness in the open air, after eating, better after warm drink, external coldness, internal coldness, chilliness on moving in bed, shaking chill at 5 p.m., one-sided coldness, chilliness during stool, desire for warmth which ameliorates the chill, heat afternoon, evening and night. Fever begins between 8 and 10 p.m., with severe crushing pain in both legs. Pain goes to heart and left temple. External heat with chilliness. Flushes of heat during sleep. Perspiration morning, night, with anxiety, perspiration on motion, profuse after waking. Dryness of the skin, coldness, biting, anesthesia, yellow spots. Burning, cracked. Eruptions, blisters, boils, burning, chapping, DRY eczema. Herpes, dry, itching, stinging. Itching eruptions worse by warmth. Painful eruptions. Nodular urticaria, vesicular eruptions. Marked eruption moist after scratching, smarting after scratching. Stinging and burning eruptions. Suppurating phygidinic eruptions. Nodular urticaria, vesicular eruptions. Marked formication of the skin all over body, itching worse in evening in bed. Biting, burning, crawling, better by keeping perfectly still. Itching better by scratching. Stinging burning in the skin all over, but worse on the back of hands, arms and feet. Moisture of the skin after scratching. Skin extremely sensitive. Much tension in the skin. Ulceration, with itching, soreness and stinging. The skin is slow to heal after injury. Thanks for watching this video. If you want more videos like Alumina silicata, please subscribe to this channel and press the bell icon. To learn homeopathy course online free with Homeopathy Materia Medica. Comment us your feedback and what you want in the next video. Like and share this video with your friends and family. For paid and free consultancy online, visit homeopathymedicines.com and maishclinic.com. Thank you. Have a nice day. Stay healthy, stay happy.